What's going on, everybody? Ryan the Mighty Quinn here, the underscore MMA. We got another UFC fight announcement between Ho Choi and Kyle Nelson. Very interesting one to break down. I believe this is early March. It's coming at us. So uh, we'll work our way backwards. I feel that if Kyle can make this a kickboxing fight, he's going to get the decision. If Ho Choi can make this a boxing fight, he's going to get the decision. Who's going to force who to beat them, to beat their opponent outside of their comfort zone? I'm going to make you beat me with kickboxing. I'm going to make you beat me with boxing. That's how we're going to see this fight here. So, I kind of just alluded to it. I think that as far as the stand up goes, it's not one way or the other. I think that the boxing leans towards Ho Choi with the way he can come forward and mix up the different angle punches between hooks, uppercuts, and straights, and the way he blitzes on the way in. Uh, and I think that the kickboxing leans towards Kyle. I know Kyle's kickboxing coach very well, his head coach with Crew Allen. I spent some time with him up in Canada when I was doing commentary for Z Promotions Fight Night. Uh, Expert of the game, really knows this very well, has been around mixed martial arts for a long time. Um, Not going to fail his fighters. So, and I just from what I've seen with Kyle, with his stance, he's gonna force you to open up into a kickboxing fight a little bit. Try to defend those leg kicks. Now, as far as wrestling's concerned, I'm going to lean with Choi on this one. I think that he's got a really nice body lock from the clinch, and I found that in Kyle's last fight against Herbert, he uh, he was kind of susceptible to that body lock stuff. He got extended in the clinch. On the ground as well, I'm going to go with Ho Choi. Why is that? Um, Fairly close, but not close enough, because I found that it's the mistakes I saw in Kyle. Granted, he comes from a kickboxing gym, uh, which really doesn't mean anything. Everyone trains everything in mixed martial arts, but maybe there's some things they're missing there. Whatever. I don't want to get into that. Um, he spent a significant amount of time flat on his back. Now, there's a difference between on your back and flat on your back. In his last fight with Jai Herbert, he lost back in July. So that's another thing. He's 6 months, 7 months, whatever. That's fairly active for a fighter these days. Um, so he spent a significant amount of time on his back, and by significant amount of time, I mean like 5 to 10 seconds flat. 2 3 seconds. You should never be flat. You should always have your belly crunched, your abs crunched. If you're going to be flat for that amount of time against somebody who's good on the ground, you're either going to pound it out or you're going to get guard passed him out. Plain and simple. Somebody who knows what they're doing, that's way too much of a window, and I think that Choi can capitalize on that. Hopefully, Herbert has improved since then. Hopefully, he saw his last fight. Now, speaking of last fights, Hong Choi has kind of had a bit of a layoff in his own right. He hasn't fought since December of 2021. I don't really think that's a big deal in this fight. I think that it depends what you do when you're layoff. I know I had two layoffs. One from when I tore my hamstring. Another that was 9 months. Another I had a year and a half off because I had the surgery in my face with my eye. So, what do you do during that layoff? Are you letting the moss grow under your feet? Because you have to remember when you see the athletic commissions hand out these athletic suspensions, it's from competition. It's not from training. Like it's not like whenever I had to get stitches, it's usually 30 or 60 days from competition, not from training. Plus, you can get that rebutted anyway. You can what's the word I'm looking for? You can overturn it. So now it's not that he hasn't been not that Ho Choi hasn't been training in these last. It'll be 13 months, up until the fight. How do you spend that time? I don't. He doesn't look like the kind of fighter that lets the moss grow under his feet. Once you get back at it, you're training. You're working on your holes, which I think we're going to see if that happened in this fight. I think he did. He's got a very good camp. Um, so I don't think that the 13-month layoff, is that big of a deal. You're seeing there's a lady coming back from the UFC. I forgot her name. I just saw this morning, 3.5 years. Micah Miller just fought after 6 years, looked great in his win over Steven Siler. So, all right, let's break down how do we get to it. How do we get these wins from either fighter? We'll start with Ho Choi. Now, one thing that I said earlier is if he makes it a boxing fight, he's going to win. I truly believe that. He's got the nice guard, the head movement. However, I think he needs more of an active jab in this fight. He's going to need to give Kyle Nelson some reason to close up that open kickboxing Muay Thai stance. He's going to have to give him something to gauge, to set up his power punches on the way in. That was one thing I found in his last fight. He should have been jabbing a little bit more, even though his forward progress was fantastic. Uh, that's how I would do it. Jab heavy, not heavy, but heavier, so to speak. 2 or 3 more, maybe 15, 20 more jabs around to try to set up those combinations on the way in. On top of that, I think that's all he needs. He's got power. The knockout's not there. Just veer off, score again. That's all it is. Jab, jab, power, power. I really love the way he rolls with the 1-2 uppercut, left hook, overhand right. I think it's very nice. We're going to be seeing that a lot in this fight. Now, he could do that for 15 minutes. Um, for whatever reason that doesn't work, like I said earlier with the wrestling, I feel that, he's got a pretty good clinch. He's very good at extending opponents, which Kyle doesn't seem to be very good at defending very well. He's got that good body lock that I saw in his last fight. He could get that body lock against the fence outside, and then he could get the takedown there. And from there, on the ground, work his ground and pound, although I don't really see a very ground savvy fight here. I think that we got 2 stand-up fighters. Now, that's the plan B. All right, now let's go to the other side of the coin. Let's go to Kyle Nelson. Now, as I said, Kyle needs to make it a kickboxing fight. One thing about Kyle I noticed in his last couple fights, he's very good at slowing things down. I noticed that because I need to slow things down. I'm not a particularly fast fighter. I need to bring you down to my level, so to speak. How does he do that? He's got a very good Muay Thai stance that makes you a little hesitant to come in, which is why Ho Choi needs to have that jab. He needs to hide behind that jab on the way in to the head, the body. So he's slowing you down there. He could set up his kicks. He also, when opponents are starting to move, he's very good at cutting them off. He uses that lateral footwork that I'm so big on. He's going to need to use that a lot in this fight. On top of that, he's got to get the hands going a little bit more to set up the kicks. I saw the kicks in his last fight. They were there. They were scoring, but they weren't damaging. If the kicks aren't damaging, you're not going to give your opponent anything to respect. He needs to give respected leg kicks here. Otherwise, Ho Choi is going to keep coming forward. So he needs to jab, straight rights, land those leg kicks, and then keep moving off center with the lateral footwork, and then add those hand strikes in to score, maybe knock out. But I would just leave it scoring. I think if there's going to be a knockout in this fight, it's going to be for Ho Choi. I just feel he has a little bit more power. Now, the clinch game, I could see if especially if he's being effective with his kickboxing, I could see Ho Choi trying to work that body lock, as I mentioned. Now, if I'm him, I really wouldn't work to try to win takedown or even clinch to knee positions. I would just do the basic pummeling in and out to try to break away and keep my kickboxing moving, keep my kickboxing in flow and in motion. That's how he wins this fight. I think, for lack of a better word, for this matchup, it makes Kyle Nelson. He's got to keep it a little bit more one-dimensional. How to keep it that kickboxing fight, take Ho Choi out of the boxing realm, out of the boxing to clinch realm. It's not really dirty boxing. That's how I feel here. Plan B for Kyle. Plan B for Kyle. I guess you gotta dumb down the boxing. You gotta dumb down the boxing. Level changes to straight rights to the body to try to come back with a jab and land body kicks or leg kicks again. I really wouldn't know if I'd go high here, but I would just try to do that. Level change to the strikes. Put Ho Choi on his heels if he's trying to put forward. That'll stop his forward progress to land those volumes exchanges that Ho Choi likes, and it'll also put him on his heels to try to set up a power shot for Kyle. So that's what I got there. It's a good one, guys. Really looking forward to it. Cornerman MMA, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I'll talk to you later. Bye.